If you're a parent, you're married, you're a couple, it's important that you're part of this. The reason is very simple. When the time comes for your kids to be married, they will not become a prayer point. Because some of the things that I will share, you will inculcate into your parenting strategy. We're going to be talking about expectations. Expectations. See, one of the major reasons why singles of different ages don't get married is because of the word expectation. Number one, unrealistic expectations. When I marry, my problem will be solved. When I marry, my life will be complete. When I marry, my husband will make me happy. My wife will make me happy. Really? I get you, sir. When I marry, the temptation, sexual temptation will disappear. My wife's coming into my life will suddenly make sexual desire for other women to disappear. Really? Unrealistic expectations. And when you begin to date and the guy and the lady begins to perceive that your expectations for marriage are unrealistic, the person gradually begins to drift away and begins to refuse to pick your calls. You wonder what you've done wrong. The reality is you can't see what you've done wrong. What you've done wrong is in your conversation. Whenever you speak, your expectations are unrealistic. And the person that wants to marry you just simply advised himself. Smart man, smart woman, she foresaw that trouble was coming and she decided to run away from you. So it's critical for you to understand that one of the major problems we have that causes delayed marriage is what we call expectations, unrealistic expectation. Number two is what we call unreasonable expectations. Number four, orientation. Nothing drives unrealistic expectations and unreasonable expectations like number four, which is orientation. Your orientation will affect your expectation. What is your perception about marriage? What is your thoughts, your paradigm, your philosophy about marriage? If your perception and orientation is wrong, your pursuits will be wrong. Your expectations will be wrong. It is therefore critical to ask yourself, do I truly know what marriage is all about? If you want to get married and you have a wrong orientation, it will affect your perception. It will affect your expectations. It will affect your decisions. And ultimately, it will affect your actions. Once your action is predicated on a wrong orientation, then the reaction of your partner will be such that if you get married, you will not have a happy home, because the orientation that powers your decisions and actions wrong. Therefore, it will trigger wrong reaction. When you were born, you were dependent on your parent. When you left your parent, you became independent. When you get married, you become interdependent. The challenge is that so many singles find it difficult to graduate from independent mindset to interdependent mindset. The mindset that powers marriage is interdependent mindset. That's the software that powers marriage, interdependence. The one that powers singlehood is independence. You can't come with that mindset into this space called marriage, otherwise you're going to have crisis. Let's move to the next reason why singles have delays in marriage. It is called patterns. A pattern is a sequence of events that repeats itself. Period. A pattern is a sequence of events. A pattern is a behavior that once exists or existed and it's repeating itself. A pattern is a conduct that once existed, once happened, and it's repeating itself. So patterns are repetitions, things that repeat themselves. Paul said to Timothy, your grandmother has faith. I saw the same faith in your mother. And Paul said, I see that same faith in you. Positive pattern. So patterns are things that have happened before and are repeating themselves. Study the bloodline you come from. Study the family that you come from. There usually will be some negative patterns. You will find some positive patterns. The problem with negative patterns is that they multiply over the years and weaken the strength of positive patterns. So I want you to look at it as a single person. Is delayed marriage a pattern in your bloodline? Is break up a pattern in your bloodline? Is the inability to choose a partner and stay with the partner a pattern in your bloodline? What is the pattern in your bloodline? What is the pattern in your generation? What is the pattern in your family? Study the pattern in your bloodline. It's critical that you do so. Let me take you to the next. Number 6 is disobedience. One of the major reasons why singles remain unmarried is what I call disobedience. You know, there are moments where the Spirit of God becomes so involved in your life, and God becomes so caring about you. I'm talking about the extra care of God because of His purpose and His investment in your life. God becomes so loving towards you that God decides in His infinite wisdom to also get involved in guiding you towards who you will marry. At such a time, sometimes it happens that God in His wisdom leads you to someone that is supposed to be your partner. And God began to use different ways to speak to you. God uses visions. God uses dreams. God uses prophets to speak to you about who the person is. But you have preference. See, here's the point. God has this specific person that God wanted to actually connect you to. But your preference took you away from the person that God would have loved you to spend your life with. Disobedience. The unwillingness to do it God's way. The unwillingness to go God's way. The unwillingness to submit to God's way because of personal preference. Personal preference, if not submitted to God, will lead a singular way from the person that God would have loved you to settle with, only for you to marry your preference and then begin to reap the consequences of your choices. Here's how the Bible puts it. He gave them their request and sent leanness to their bones. You never see better than God sees. You can never choose for yourself more than God will choose for you. Drop all these people telling you that God has stopped getting involved in the affairs of people when it comes to marriage. No. They say that people make statements like, whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains the favor of the Lord. Whosoever finds a wife. And they say, now it's your time to go and find a wife. Remember that same scripture had already told you, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your path. So don't read scripture out of context. And many who have built their marriages on that scripture, he that finds a wife, go and find, are today in great pain. It is you and God in partnership, finding the life partner that God has appointed for you. One of the major causes of delayed marriage among singles is timing. Timing. Timing is everything. As a single, be sensitive to the season where you are to be married. Many singles have missed their season. There was a season when God made everything possible for you to be married, but your preferences, your desires, your persuasions didn't make you give attention to the season. The sons of Issachar had understanding of times and seasons. Jesus wept over Jerusalem. Why? He said, Jerusalem, I weep over you, for you know not the time of your visitation. Singles, please pray. Pray that you will not miss your time of visitation. Pray that you will not miss your season. Pray that when it's time to marry, you will not use that time to be going to pursue PhD. Otherwise, you finish your PhD and now be looking for husband or wife. And it will, I'm not saying you will not be married, but it will take a long while. And if you don't embrace the mercy of God, you will end up just marrying anybody. Be sensitive to your season. Be sensitive to the timing of getting married. Be sensitive to the time when you need to be single alone and you need nobody in your life. Marrying before time, trouble. Marrying after time, trouble. Marry in time. The last thing I want to talk to you about that causes delays among singles, delayed marriage, is what I call spiritual issues, or what I call satanic influence. Some singles, it's none of the things that I mentioned. The reason you are single is way beyond all of that. It's spiritual in nature. It's satanic in nature. It's demonic in nature. You just can't get your mind together to decide to be married. You have all it takes to be married, but you just don't know why you can't decide to be married. You just don't know why you can't make a choice. Number two, you just don't know why. You can't explain why nobody, a whole year passes by, pretty lady like you are, beautiful damsel, educated, exposed, experienced. You have the money, but you can't explain why. No man will look at you and express the desire to be your friend. If anybody even comes around you, the only thing, you don't even know why. The only reason why a man comes around you, if ever, is just to want to have sex. Have sex with you and move on. Somebody says he's interested in you, and for no reason, unexplainable reason, the person changes his mind. She changes her mind. I don't want to do with you again. What did I do wrong? Nothing. In fact, listen, ever since I met you, my life has become better. You've really changed my life. I just don't know why. Something just makes me feel we are not compatible. Something just makes me feel. And the story is the same. It's time to pray until something shifts. It's time to pray until something moves. It's time to pray until something breaks. It's time to pray until something opens up. Stop trying to explain it away. It's the reality of your life. There's no amount of English you speak that would deny the fact that you are still unmarried for unexplainable reasons. Prison doors can be opened. Marital prison doors can be opened. Marital chains can fall. Marital victories can happen if you will pray.